Please don't change your fuel filter before you watch this video. I've seen well-known YouTube channels recommending the wrong process. Modern cars don't turn on the fuel pump after you switch on the ignition or turn the key. Not priming the fuel filter can lead to serious consequences for fuel injectors, which are very costly to replace. In this video, I will show you two ways how to do this properly on T5s, T6s and T6.1s. Enjoy! First thing you should know and check is the replacement intervals for the fuel filter. If you're in a country with a poor quality fuel, the recommended interval is 40,000 kilometers. If you're in Europe where fuel quality is stable and good, a replacement every 120,000 kilometers is more than sufficient. To do the replacement, you will obviously need a new fuel filter. A transparent tube and the diagnostic interface, such as VAS5054 or VACCOM, could be handy, although you can do the change without these. A few words about choosing the right fuel filter. If you already know which filter to buy, you can skip to the installation part. Here you can see an early T5. If I check the part number in the fuel supply section of the catalog, you will see that the filter has 4 pipe connections and is the same for all diesel T5s. Part number and engine codes are mentioned on the screen. When choosing the right filter, I always go for the aftermarket part. Prices are lower, quality is the same. The ones I trust are Knecht or Mahle, which is the same manufacturer, also Kolbenschmidt and worst case MAN filter. As you can see, I'm checking the prices with a local supplier because Autodoc is extremely overpriced. Let's now check late T5s, T6s and T6.1s. There are two different fuel filters that were used on these cars. This one shown here is for the CFCA biturbo engine, as well as for all engines starting with the code CA, which were used in late T5s and also in some T6s. It's the same filter as in early T5s. And this new generation fuel filter was introduced on T6s and is also used in T6.1s. It only has 2 fuel line nozzles for the fuel pipes. The applicable engine codes start with CX. Part number and engine codes are shown on the screen. Just like for the early T5s, my choice for the aftermarket is either Knecht or Mahle. On T6.1s there is also a version of the filter for the countries with poor fuel quality. You can see that this filter has a water sensor at the bottom. The filter can be ordered together with the sensor or without. These filters cost a fortune, and if you are driving in places where fuel is okay, you could just disconnect the water sensor, wrap the connector in a plastic bag and just use a normal T6.1 filter. Of course, you would unscrew the water sensor to keep it for the future. There are only 3 aftermarket parts available for the filter with the water sensor. First one is Bosch, which seems to come with a sensor. Second one is Febi. It doesn't come with a sensor. And there is also a version from a Polish budget filter company called FILTRON. Autodoc is not yet aware about this one, and it looks like it also comes with a sensor. Once you got yourself a replacement filter, it's time to take the old one out. Here I'm removing the battery partitioner under the bonnet. To give myself a bit more space, I'm using the T25 Torx bit to remove the expansion tank screws. And now I'm using the 13mm socket to unbolt the second piece of battery partition. Once there is more access, I'm unscrewing the clamp that holds fuel filter with a 10mm socket. You can see it on this diagram. Now it's time to remove the fuel pipes by pressing on the clips as shown here and pulling upwards. On T6s and T6.1s, the space is very cramped, and although the fuel filter is disconnected and unclamped, there is still not enough space to pull it out. To solve this, I'm slightly releasing the 2 13mm bolts that are holding the fuel filter bracket. There is now more wiggle space and I can finally get the old filter out. And the new one goes back in. Don't forget to rotate the filter at the same angle as the old one. Once the filter is in, I'm connecting to the pipe that goes from the fuel tank to the filter. In case of T5s, I would connect all but one pipe marked as VM. VM pipe goes to the engine and I'm leaving it disconnected until I prime the fuel filter with the diagnostic interface. But you might say, I don't have a diagnostic cable and a diagnostic software. No problem. In this case, there is a second way how to prime your fuel filter. Keep watching, I will show it to you in a minute. So to prime the fuel filter using diagnostic interface, I'm connecting the tube to the exit flange on the filter and dropping it into the empty canister. Now it's time to get your VCDS, VCP or ODIS out. I'm connecting the diagnostic cable to my PC and opening the diagnostic software. Personally, I'm using ODIS, but VAGCOM or VCP will do just fine. Probably Carista and OBD11 are also able to do this. I'm going to the engine, basic settings, and finding the item called Transfer Fuel Pump Test, or Test Transfer Fuel Pump. Clicking the Start button would get the pump working. Fuel will start flowing in a second. All the bubbles are out, so I can press the Stop button in my ODIS screen. And now I have disconnected the transparent tube. The end on the filter goes first, so that all remains of diesel go to the canister. As promised, here is how you prime the fuel filter in case you don't have a diagnostic interface. Just use a very large syringe to fill up the filter. Once the filter is in, I'm snapping on the remaining fuel line. Quick start of the engine to check that everything is alright. Engine started without problems, so I can put everything back as it was before. Here is the original filter that came with the car. I removed it at 220,000 kilometers. My car was produced in 2016, just like the filter. As you can see, it is an original Volkswagen part, but was manufactured by Mahle. It's crazy that nobody took care to change the filter even once during the 220k that the car has done. Let's see what's inside. It actually looks surprisingly clean. The car has done most of the miles in Germany. Thanks for watching. Please like the video if you found it useful, and please subscribe to see future episodes. See you soon.